So, good morning children. We are back again with the 8th standard. Lesson number 1, the best Christmas present. So, in the last video you saw the first part of the lesson, how the author finds a roll top desk in a junk shop. He always wanted to have a roll top desk and he got it from the junk shop, and when he brought it home and he started repairing, he started working on it, what did he find? He found that there was a letter. There was a black tin box in the one of the drawers of the table, and there was a letter in it with some address. Now, in the second part of this lesson, we will see what was written in the letter. Open your books, page 10, and have a pencil in your hand. Let us read the letter. Dearest Connie, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you at once. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning. Christmas morning. It was crisp and quiet all about, as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. What does the author say? He says that he wants to share something to the person who is reading the letter. He wants to share that his happiness, something very nice has happened with him, which he wants to share through this letter. In a happier frame of mind means what? In a very happy mood, in a very good state of mind. The writer is in a very good state of mind because a very nice incident has taken place and he wants to share it with the person who is reading the letter. So he says that yesterday when they were standing in the trenches, trenches are big pits, long pits dug for the soldiers. So he says that when they were standing in their trenches and the atmosphere was very pleasant, it was cold. Usually Christmas falls in the month of December, and December is very cool. It's very cold. It was a very cold and frosty morning, as it should be. He says it was a perfect Christmas morning and something very nice has happened with the author, with the writer. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth I am ashamed to say is that Frizz began it. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land. Happy Christmas, Tommy, happy Christmas. When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, same to you, Frizz, same to you. Now, here, Frizz is the name of the German soldiers. There was a war going on between the German and the British soldiers, and Tommy is related to the Britishers, the British soldiers, and Frizz are the German soldiers. So he says that as we were standing in our trenches and we heard somebody, we saw a white flag waving towards us. White is a symbol of peace. So somebody was asking for peace, somebody was suggesting for peace from the opposite side. So he says that he saw a white flag waving from the opposite trenches and they were calling out to us and wishing us Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. And before we could respond to them, or before I could ask my people to respond to them, somebody from us also shouted back and wished them Merry Christmas. I thought that would be that. We all did. But then suddenly one of them was up there in his grey great coat and waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads, someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Frizz up on the parapet and another. Keep your heads down. I told the men, it's a trick, but it wasn't. So what does the writer say here? That as we saw the flag and we wished each other Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, what happened? Somebody, one of the soldiers, he jumped out of the trenches with the white flag, and as he came out of the trench, the second one came in, the third one, and so it went on. All of them came out on the parapet wall. So what does the writer here say? That when they were wishing each other Merry Christmas, what did they see? That someone from the opposite trench came up with a white flag waving, and as he came, the other one came and the other one, and they all started coming up the trenches. Somebody said from behind that, don't shoot. Somebody from the writers group, from the writers group, told that they should not shoot at them. Just keep their head down. He thought, the writer of the letter, he thought that it was a trick played by the Fries. Fries means German soldiers. He thought that it was a trick played by the German soldiers because they were having the war. But what does he say? That it wasn't a trick. He came to know it later that it wasn't a trick. One of the Germans was wearing a bottle above his head. It is Christmas Day, Tommy. We have snacks, we have sausage. We meet you? Yes. By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and not a rifle between them. Now what does he say? That one of the German soldiers came up, he had a bottle. He was waving a bottle, and what did he say? They had schnapps. That is a German drink which is made from grain. And then they said they had sausage. What is sausage? Just underline that word. You need to find out the meaning of that. It's very easy, you can find it anywhere. In the dictionary, or it may be given there also in the book. Just take the trouble to find it out. So they were coming up. You must have got the idea why the German soldiers were coming up. They were having a bottle, they were having sausage, and there were no rifles in their hand. And they were walking through no man's land. What is no man's land? No man's land means a barren place where we have nothing, an open space, an open land. So they were not having any rifles, they were not having any, what you can say, something which can harm anybody. They were not having anything in their hands except bottle of wines and sausage. So it was understood that they were coming forward to celebrate. They were coming forward to have a party, we can say. By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. Come on, boys. What are we waiting for? And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose, but the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. Now what does the writer of this letter he say? He said that as the Fries, as the German soldiers were coming up from the opposite side, what did these people do? What did his soldiers do? They also understood what their idea was, and they also started walking towards them. And he says that being an officer, I was the officer of my group, I would have stopped them. But that idea never touched me of stopping them. Even I let them go towards them. All along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another. Grey coats, khaki coats, meeting in the middle. And I was one of them. I was a part of this. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. See, such a beautiful sentence. Feeling so happy. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. So what does he say? Those German soldiers, they were walking from their side. My soldiers, the Tommies, were walking from this side, and he could see only men walking. There wasn't any war. They were walking to make peace in between the war. See, they were already having a war among themselves. The German and the Britishers were having a war. And as it was Christmas Day, the Germans as well as the British soldiers, they were going towards each other for making peace, to have peace among themselves. And he says that even I was one of them, even I was walking along with them, even I wanted peace. I was going towards the Germans. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the Fries officer who approached me, hand hand outstretched. "Hands full," he said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it. Now he says that as I went forward, the German officer from their side, he also was walking towards me, and as we both met each other, he says that I cannot tell the feelings which I saw in his eyes. And he held my hand very firmly, very tightly, very warmly. I felt very good when we met each other. And he introduced himself. He said that he was Hans Wolf. I am from Düsseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. What was his introduction? How did the officer introduce himself? He told his name. His name was Hans Wolf, and he said that he plays a cello in the orchestra and he is from Düsseldorf. "Captain Jim McPherson," I replied, "and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England." Now it was the turn of the British officer to give his introduction, and he told him that he was a school teacher and he wished him Merry Christmas too. And he belonged to Dorset in the west part of England. "Ah, Dorset," he smiled. "I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my drum ration and his excellent sausage. And we talked, Connie. How we talked. He spoke almost perfect English. But it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. Now, as soon as the British officer, he heard that, as soon as the German officer, Hans Wolf, he heard that this British officer is from England. What did he say? He said that, "I have been to Dorset. I know much of it and many times I have been there." So as they sat down and they were having their drinks and they were having a nice time together, the writer, the British officer, he came to know that Hans Wolf had never been to England. He just had the information about it. But he was very good at speaking English. Being a German, he was very good at English. So he had learned all of he knew England from school and from reading books in English. So as I told you that he was not telling the truth that he had been to England and all. He had never been to England. He knew about England from all that he had learned from the school and by reading books. That was it. And he had never been there. But he was very good at explaining himself. His famous writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from the Maiden Crown. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Now, these two officers, what did they do? They sat together, they started exchanging their ideas, their views. They were having a nice time, they were eating, they were drinking, and meanwhile, they were telling each other about themselves, about their family. So were the soldiers doing. On the other side, he says that when I saw on the other side, I could see the soldiers in grey and khaki coats. What did they do? Greys were Germans. The German soldiers were in grey coats and the British soldiers were in khaki coats. So he saw that, he said that over the no man's land, over the barren land, he could see all the soldiers coming together. They were drinking, they were laughing, they were talking, and they all were having a very nice time together. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. He thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. I agreed. We agreed about everything and he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. What does he say? as they were sitting together, they were discussing about all different things, about eating, about cakes, about meat, about dreams, about everything. And almost they both had the same thoughts. They both agreed to each other. And he says, and then he was my enemy. See, such a wonderful line here again, that he agreed to everything and then he was my enemy. So you did not always have a friend who agrees with you. Even your thoughts can match to your enemies. Having a good sense, having good thoughts. So he says that we almost agreed to all the points. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Great balls were dumped in piles to make goal post, and the next thing we knew it was Tommy against Fritz out on the middle of no man's land. So what did he say as they were talking and drinking and enjoying? What happened? Somebody went and brought a football. Now what happened? There were already two teams, the Germans and the Britishers. So what did they do? They made two teams of themselves. One side the Germans and one side the British, and they started playing the football in between on the no man's land. Hands full when I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said, after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. Now what does he say? He says that somebody brought a football and then they started playing the game there. They started playing football, the soldiers among themselves. They made their two teams and they started playing. And these two officers, when they saw that their teams are playing football, what did they do? They cheered them up. They cheered them up and they talked to each other that this was the best way to solve all the conflicts. Instead of having the war, the nations should have a football match where there will be two teams and there will be only winners and losers. Nobody will die. No wives will become widow. No children will become orphans.